Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering hobo, owner of several pieces of art. That one, the moon, is actually my roommate's. It was here when I got the room. I'm moving the camera around today. I want to keep it off the tripod. Got the cat in the shot. It's curled up on my chair that I just got off the street. It's a really nice chair. And wanted to have some movement. Get the camera off the tripod. Oh, I got my little not bandana, what a headband, because my hair is long enough now to where it gets in my face when I'm like leaning over and exercising. Did some burpees this morning, cleaned the apartment, so leaning over, doing all that stuff. Been working on my screenplay lately. No, I'm not going to talk about what it's about. Nobody wants to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. But I'm just trying to keep discovering ways of avoiding the same problematic approaches that I've used to trying to break this story and keep a totally clear head and kind of like de-stress myself, like disconnect myself from that sort of like ego of looking down on the story and wanting to impress how clever I can be on it and just be truthful and just be like achingly simple. And that's been an interesting and very rewarding process as I go through it and I realize I'm like pushing against the edge of my abilities and then trying to push that edge further. So the edge of my abilities keeps moving and moving. Um, been kind of cold here for LA. I know it's not really like cold compared to other places. Cold here is like in the 40s. Makes it a little bit awkward to sleep, or I get like weird nightmares. I have like 4 blankets here, including a heated blanket under that, which I guess it became unplugged while I was sleeping last night. But heated blanket can be a good investment if you're cold. And I was thinking partly I wanted to say something, to people who are lonely, who are struggling, who don't have the benefit of all this stuff I have here. Partly people who are poor, struggling. I don't know. I try not to like just run on in my head how I want to address everything that's going on in the world, and I can't. But just respect, solidarity. I know what it's like to be lonely, to be poor, and this capitalist system we're in threatens to grind us all down. And unemployment is a nice perk for employers because they know you should be scared for your job, because if you ever sort of do any, well, give them a reason to fire you, or if you're just in the unfortunate position of working in a job where they decide, oh, this isn't going to give paid dividends to our investors or our board of directors or executives, we'll eliminate your job. And we always know there'll be other people who want to come in for positions at our company, regardless of how we treat employees. So that said, I don't want to spin out on ranting about all that. Just talk to each other, try and you know keep things positive if you can. A lot of people can't because just the way America's built, it's very car centric. But do what I did: get a bike. You can get a bike and ride it sometimes, and drive your car sometimes. See if you can take public transportation. Do things to save money. I spent easily over $30,000 on cars and maintenance and gas and insurance over the years, over like a period of like 10 years. And, it got me to where I am. I learned from it, but I'm like, oh, I would have gotten so much out of just having a bike and saving money. At the very least, it would have saved me a bunch of or gas and mileage, just trips going to my mom's house where I didn't need a car when I was living like 2 miles from her, or 3 miles or something from her. I never thought of that. I just thought, well, the car is the way you get around. And it would have made a lot more sense to have a bike, even if I didn't always use it. Now, I never want a car again. It's a nightmare to me, the idea of having a car. The one time I drove a car within the last few months, I just remember it feeling so wrong, like the sense of speed, like the inability to see around you, because I've gotten so used to the sense of speed on a bike and being connected to my environment. So I'm glad for that. I'm like, oh, there's a lot more people. There are a lot more people that could be activated to that joy and to the pleasure of getting around on a bike or by taking public transportation if it was frequent enough and reliable enough and clean enough. So let's do it. Let's talk to each other. Let's make things better. But in the meantime, just want to keep it a little, kind of light and positive here. So cleaned my apartment. This bed is always a mess. Look how huge this blanket is. I don't like having it in the corner of the room right by the window. But again, that's everywhere, I guess. It's America, but it's also, I've been watching documentaries, just falling into these documentaries on like how brutal the the situation is for so many people in Korea, South Korea, and Japan. Just hyper capitalist, exploitative, like grinding down workers, bottom of the barrel wages, having to work 2 jobs, sleeping maybe 3 or 4 hours a night, and trying to save up for some kind of life, hoping they never get sick or lose their jobs, and knowing that there's always people to replace them. So it's not just America, it's international, all these corporations that are exploiting people. And it's on us to make connections with each other and have mutual support and be well. I don't want to spin out to it. It gets really like, invoking a lot of negative feelings. But I'll just keep it real simple, just like I'm talking to friends. I'm doing my writing, a lot of writing. I'm reading volume 2 of The Complete Sherlock Holmes. So far, not as good as the first volume. And there's a lot of stuff in the forward to it that explains kind of some context for that. For one thing, Arthur Conan Doyle brought the character Sherlock Holmes back after he had supposedly killed him fighting Professor Moriarty. Or was he a professor in the books, or did that become something later? But Moriarty, supposedly the #1 criminal in England, who hatched all the criminal plots there, and he didn't want to write about Sherlock Holmes anymore. I guess he was sick of it, which is kind of funny and like understandable. It's like he wrote like 600 pages of Sherlock Holmes stories. It's like enough. But after a while, he decided he wanted to write them again, and he actually wrote a great story about how Sherlock Holmes faked his death and why he stayed hidden for years. And it's very illustrative of how to, basically it's like a writing exercise where you take a given story and then write a sequel to it, sticking to the information that's in that story, and retrofit it to make this sequel to it fulfilling and satisfying and exciting and make it make sense. And he did that wonderfully. A lot of the other stories, some get kind of interesting, some don't. The one about the pince-nez or something, the glasses with gold on them, that one was pretty interesting. I'm still pretty early into the book. I've reread Heat 2. Oh, what an impact that book had. Man, the tension was unbearable. And it's so fucking like surgically precise. Also, it's very fucking funny. Well, it's not, it's really only 1 or 2 moments that I can recall are really that funny. They're funny because, okay, spoilers here. Skip forward if you don't want to know. One of the funniest moments, it happens, the funniest moments, happens on page 114. I had to go back to this page over and over. So, spoilers again. Skip forward. I'll wave at the camera like this when I stopped if you just want to speed through it or mute the video. So Hannah, the cop, this is taking place in 1988 in Chicago. He's a detective there. Neil McCauley's been working with his crew, Krisha Hurlis and Michael Chirito and Trejo, in Chicago doing heists, pulling scores, as they say. But there's this serial killer who is fearsome and so well realized and just so cunning and sadistic, Otis Wardell. And he's doing these home invasion robberies that also are like horrible, brutal crimes against the people there. Like, he wants them to be home because he's such a sadist. He enjoys doing terrible things to them. So Hannah, the cop, is pursuing Wardell, and he gets tipped off. He realizes the next house he's going to hit, but it's going to be like tonight, very soon. They realize that because they're following Wardell, but they want to catch him in the house. So he rushes over. He tells the family, who have no idea what's happening. He breaks into the home. He's like, "You all are not safe. We don't even have time to get you out of here. We couldn't close off all the exits. Go in the basement, hide, whatever." And Hannah and the other cops, they can't even get a SWAT team assembled in time. They have to wait there and lure Wardell and his crew of like 4 people into the house. So they're waiting in the shadows there. Wardell has a key to the house. He's going in with this whole disguise, looking like a florist with a florist van. He is a van like painted like a florist van, so neighbors don't suspect anything. Goes up to the house. He knocks, nobody answers, and they want him to just walk himself in. So he has a key. He made a copy of the key. Again, it's a whole scheme. This dirty guy. Think like Wayne Grow in Heat, but like even more brutal, and also Wayne Grow's story is kind of like dropped off out of the movie. Like, yeah, he does some heinous stuff to a call girl, and it kind of doesn't go anywhere, at least from what I remember. And I just remember thinking like, yeah, it's just kind of like, okay, he's a sadist, and he's fearsome. But this integrates a character like that so much better. So Hannah's waiting with a shotgun in the shadows of this house where Wardell comes in, and he's seen where's the family. And he hears the TV in the background, which Hannah deliberately has on. Wardell and his crew kind of walk around. Hannah with a shotgun. And it's been built up how dangerous this guy is and what a scary person he is, even to anyone on his crew who crosses him. Hannah, waiting in the shadows with a shotgun, jumps out and says, "April Fools, motherfuckers," and he fires his shotgun. And I won't say what happens after that. Okay, so end of spoilers. End of spoilers. Everybody, you can come back. But that line was so fucking funny to me because it comes with so much tension, and it's like all that tension is like you can't bear it. And then for Hannah, and here's the other thing. It's funny because it's true to his character. He is such a maniac in the book and in the movie too. You can see like he's kind of on cocaine, but in the book, I forget if he does cocaine, but he's doing Adderall, drinking lots of coffee. The coffee not quite as a wild man behavior as the Adderall, but for him to do that, it was so like it's so true to his character, and it's the release of this unbearable tension as he's facing this like most formidable killer and sadist. So, anyways, Heat 2, a lot of fun, good read. And I was reading it again, partly because it's just fun, but I wanted to really like take in how does it break down this story? How is this story laid out so that everything from the film can be retrofitted? Like, say the film, I know this is weird, but I just visualize it as this. The film is like an air conditioning unit. You got the fan, like outside of a house. But he takes this air conditioning unit and retrofits this machine onto it with the prequel part in 1988 and the sequel part in a little bit in 95, 96 when the film took place, but then 2000. And he retrofits it onto this air conditioning unit to turn it into like a jet engine, a perfectly like machined, well-engineered engine that has such thrust and propulsive power. And I'm like, that's a great writing exercise to understand how he did that. And it was instructive for me because it showed me there's no problem figuring out how to write my stories. Every story has a solution in it. I'm like, if he could figure out how to make a prequel / sequel to Heat, which I didn't think like needed a sequel. And also I admire a lot about the film. I think it's really striking and powerful. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I also think it's really long. Like, scenes should have been edited down. Writing could have been sharper. I still admire it. I appreciate it, but I'm like, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, I always feel my enthusiasm for it like stilted by the awkwardness, like the sort of turgid nature of nature of like scenes playing out too long. And as a result, we kind of lose the characters and all that. And it's a 3-hour film. It's not just the length. I thought, the authenticity, it could have been sharpened by shortening its length and also just punched up a little bit the script, given a little bit more fleshing out through dramatic action who these characters are. So I'm like, why does this need a sequel? And not only I get my answer, but it answers all those criticisms of the film so superbly. So Heat 2, anyways, a good book. So it showed me with my story, there is no problem. If Michael Mann and Meg Gardner, because she co-wrote the book with him, could figure out how to make the sequel and prequel to Heat, I can do my story. It's absolutely got a solution that's every bit as satisfying and powerful and thought-provoking. So that's what I'm going to leave you all with. I want to keep my video short. I don't want to make Heat 3 here and make it a 3-hour video. I'm going to put you all to sleep right there, like Sasha, curled up, a little ball. She doesn't even notice me right now. So, doing that, exercising, eating right. I'm actually dieting down, so I lost 4 pounds this week. Glad for that. Finally want to cut down maybe at least another 7-8 pounds. We'll see. Might go a little bit beyond that. It's just time. I just kind of been around 159 for too long. Now, granted, I'm losing fat while I'm doing that, and I'm building muscle. There you go. Because, but I'm staying at the same weight. I'm like, I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I just want to cut down, lose some of this excess fat, and keep things positive, keep it light. So when I'm writing, it's not a burden. It's just flowing. It's just a joy. Doing well. Going to therapy still. And was there anything else I'm thinking about? My mom's doing well. I talked to her a lot. I talked to her this morning. And she's doing really well. She's glad to hear, what I'm doing out here. So to all you out there, I just encourage you, try and sort of level up yourself. Question yourself, what you're doing with your life. Be accountable to yourself. If you could clean up a little better, like clean up around yourself. If you can treat other people a little better, hold yourself a little, like stand a little straighter, be more, kind to people in traffic. And a lot of you don't drive well. I see how people drive out there. Now that I'm not a driver, it's so nice not to have to deal with that and forget there are bad drivers in the world, because I don't really interact with drivers much. Even riding my bike, I'm kind of like, I mostly stick to bike lanes or, I just don't get into traffic much because it's too dangerous. But be patient, be courteous, drive defensively, leave following room in front of you, so a car in front of you can brake and you can stop without rear-ending them. Don't cut people off, and also if people are rude to you, don't take it out on them. Don't try and be a bully. Be respectful. Don't disrespect customer service workers. They're working so hard and getting abused by the general public. We should make it a pleasure for them to serve us. It's seriously weird for me to I don't have to do that, that kind of work anymore. I used to. And they deserve so much better. But let's clean up after ourselves. Let's be well. Let's educate ourselves a little bit, inform ourselves, and talk to each other and be connected. So I'm going to keep going because I got to keep my word, keep this video kind of short. And subscribe, like, all that stuff. Stay tuned for what else I'll be getting into. Also taking my vitamins. I'm just looking at vitamins now. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye.